Sick of seeing perfect, Pinterest-worthy pantries and feeling like you just can't measure up? Today I'll be showing you how I organize my realistic, imperfect pantry. We'll be cleaning out the shelves, using some simple budget-friendly bins and containers to make things less messy, and then we'll group like items together so that they make sense. The goal is to embrace the space that you already have while feeling like you still have your life together. I'll share some budget-friendly tips as well as how to organize a small space. Come organize with me. Hey guys, it's Taylor from The Girl on Bloor. I'm all about sharing easy meal prep strategies and kitchen tips and tricks to make your life easier. If you're new here, welcome. I normally share meal prep recipes and meal planning tips, but a big part of a healthy lifestyle is also taking care of your mental health, and getting organized can really help with that. Now, all of that said, I feel like whenever I see organization videos, whatever space is being worked on looks like it could belong in a magazine, and honestly, I find it kind of discouraging. I also feel like I see people have all of these crazy bins and organizational tools that can be quite expensive. So today I'm showing you how to organize a smaller space very realistically, all on a budget to boot. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a big kitchen for a downtown Toronto condo, but as with most condo kitchens, there really isn't a designated pantry space, so I added a bookshelf to the den located next to my kitchen. My den is my catch-all room for everything from my shoes to my workout stuff and my blogging equipment. My pantry bookshelf is massive because I'm a food blogger and I have a crap ton of dishes and props that I use in my photography. But you can see just how narrow the actual area is with my dry food and ingredients that I use as a quote-unquote pantry. Don't get me wrong, it's a decent amount of space, but it's pretty narrow and the shelves are deep, and if you don't organize the right way, it can be pretty awkward. But the main point I'm trying to make is that even if you have a small space, you can easily build a bookshelf and fit it in somewhere near your kitchen. It's a cost-effective solution and a wise way to make the most out of any small space. If I didn't have a den, I'd probably put the bookshelf along this wall near my kitchen here. Now, you're seeing my pantry at its messiest, and I'll be honest, it gets this way over time. And I want to emphasize that that is normal. Every week, I do a mini pantry inventory as I do my meal planning, so sometimes I'll mess it up as I'm doing that, and that is just life. If you want to learn more about how I meal plan, I highly encourage you to watch How I Meal Plan in 4 Easy Steps each week. I've linked to that in the description of this video. So, messy pantry, it happens to the best of us. What I do to reduce the overwhelm of having a perfect pantry is to organize it every quarter or every season. I usually do a clear out in the winter, spring, summer, and fall, and this allows me to take better overall stock of what I have and then add any organizational pieces if I see opportunities to make it function better. This way, you also don't have to spend a ton of money up front and can add things over time instead of buying all this stuff and then maybe not using some of it if it turns out to be unnecessary. So let's dive right into this hot mess now, shall we? The very first thing that I do is take everything off the shelves so that I can give the shelves a proper wipe down. You have no idea how satisfying this part is. It's surprising how much dust and dirt can pile up after a few months. Now, with everything off the shelves, step number 2 is to sit my butt down on the floor and start going through everything that I have. Sometimes, unfortunately, I will have to throw things out that are going bad, but because of my weekly pantry inventory, this is pretty rare. The goal with the weekly check-in is to constantly refresh your brain as to what you have on hand at home. This is way easier than making a list and trying to be too organized. And honestly, like you, I'm super busy, so I just don't have time to make some sort of fancy spreadsheet. So that's why I always advocate for the weekly check-in as opposed to the running inventory list. I just do a fast weekly assessment and plan my meals based around what I already have on hand at home. You'd be surprised at how little you throw out when you don't overbuy and you regularly check in. The things that I end up throwing away the most tend to be junk food like stale chips, and occasionally things that I don't use very often and go bad, such as dried berries. I'm gonna do a video on things that you can freeze because even I should be freezing a lot of things I throw out from my pantry, and you can basically freeze anything. Okay, once you've wiped down the shelves and cleared away the clutter, now step number 3 is to group your remaining items together. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's mostly just about how you yourself go to look through your pantry and what you think might be the most efficient as you do your pantry check-in each week. You can also think about this in terms of how a grocery store might group certain items together in certain aisles. I usually have a baking section that also contains nuts, nut butters, and honey, along with a canned and savory condiments section that includes onions and potatoes, and I group all my pastas, rice, and dried legumes together. I have a section for snacks and then a section for drinks and teas. Finally, I have an overflow section with protein powders, extra kitchen items, and anything else that doesn't fit in the other categories. I usually keep this overflow section at the very top of my pantry since I don't use these items as much. Now, step number 4 is to assess whether or not you'd like to buy some bins, containers, or racks that you think would make your life easier. I did a little assessment and bought some stuff ahead of time for this video just so that I can show you what I already have and what I'm adding in this time. So going in, I had these these OXO Good Grips pop containers. The lids pop down to provide an airtight seal and they are stackable. I treated myself to these when I moved into this place and let me tell you, they have definitely extended the shelf life of my nuts, flours, oats, legumes, and sugars. I also had some old glass containers from Canadian Tire and IKEA from several years ago. The OXO containers are expensive and not accessible to everyone though, so don't worry about needing to get fancy containers like these. I love mason jars as well for organizing different things like nuts, seeds, legumes, rice, and other dry goods, and they are much more affordable. You can even save jars of pasta sauce for things like this, or even leftover yogurt containers, so just know that you really can do the whole pantry organizing thing on a budget. I just recommend that you label any yogurt containers or others that you can't see through. Another cheap idea is to go to the dollar store or IKEA and buy some bins that you can group items together and pull them out for easy access. This is especially handy when you have a deep pantry. I bought a bunch of these bins off of Amazon for this video as I feel like I have enough containers and want to organize a bit further. I got a set of 12 bins for $60, so you're looking at a very reasonable $5 per bin. Once you have all of your equipment, step number 5 is to obviously add ingredients and food to your containers so that they are all ready to go back up on your shelves. I'm adding some rice to my mason jars along with some other dry goods. Now, final step number 6 is to put everything back on the shelves. At this point, you should have everything grouped by category on the floor, so you'll just be choosing which shelves to add everything back to. Like I mentioned earlier, I recommend that you add things you won't be using as much or things that are easier to reach, like larger items on the top shelf. Then you'll go down in order of how much you use everything from there. First up, we have miscellaneous items up top, then we have the baking section. After that is the rice, pasta, and legumes section, followed by the savory ingredients section. Then we have snacks and drinks on the bottom 2 shelves. Et voila, the perfectly imperfect pantry. You've probably noticed by now that I don't keep my spices in my pantry, so I'll touch on that quickly. Now, if you want to, you can keep your spices in your pantry, but I personally keep my spices in a kitchen cupboard close to my stove. If I'm ever cooking anything on the stove and want to add some seasoning last minute, I like having my spices close on hand. I just find that this cupboard is way more functional for me. And I know my spices are not all organized. I just keep this bin with all the spices in there because I don't think it's a good use of my time to be emptying all these spice packets into jars when they come in resealable packages anyway. Maybe one day when I have room for an actual spice drawer, this may be worthwhile, and maybe I'll even make a video showing the transformation. But honestly, until that time, I just find that it doesn't take me that long to look through my spice bin when making a recipe, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't have time to fill all these pretty jars just to have things look perfect, so again, you see me prioritizing function over perfection. Now back to my glorious new pantry. It obviously looks good, if I do say so myself, but I wouldn't say that it's Pinterest perfect or expertly styled. What it is realistic and functional. Obviously, I'm not hating if you want to make your pantry look super pretty and matchy-match. If that sort of stuff makes you happy, then definitely go for it. But I just wanted to show you in this video that you can do a lot with mason jars and bins alone, which is the best way to organize on a budget. But if you know that it's just not going to be realistic for you and it's going to be a source of stress trying to make it look perfect all of the time, then I am giving you permission to just get your pantry to a point where it works for you. Owning a business has been super helpful in reframing how I feel about perfection. There comes a certain point where you just have to embrace efficiency and let go of perfection to succeed, and most of all, success to me looks like consistency. My process is simple, easy, and achievable, and at the end of the day, that's what you want. Okay guys, that about wraps up my pantry organizing video. I hope you enjoyed it and picked up a few new tips and tricks for when you go to organize yours. If you're loving my videos, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and let me know if you have any other pantry questions in the comments below, or share this video with a friend or family member who needs it. Thanks for hanging out in my pantry today, and I'll see you in the next video.